everyone, and welcome to The Real Reset. We gave our channel a new name that clearly identifies our goals, and we've created a new website and forum where you can find and discuss all of our recent and upcoming projects. I think that all of you have already heard about the Great Reset that the establishment is pushing forward and preparing for us. But let's just think about it for a minute. Do we really want this?
Now is the historical moment, the time, not only to fight severe virus, but to shape the system.
And he says many things, quote, again, many things will change forever and a new world will emerge.
I think it's more like we will own nothing and Klaus Schwab will be happy. What do you think?
The work of lawyers, doctors, journalists, or librarians will be automated by the mid-2020s. 90% of the news could be generated by an algorithm. Can you believe this? And what is he talking about? You cannot believe this is not some sort of, staged or script notes for a sci-fi movie. Citizen concerns over privacy will require adjustments in thinking, which of course means bye-bye privacy completely, what's left of it. The tools of the fourth industrial revolution enable new forms of surveillance and other means of control. Crossing a national border will involve, according to Klaus Schwab, a detailed brain scan to assess an individual's security risk. External devices will certainly become implantable in our bodies and brains. Smart dust. Computers with little antennas, each smaller than a grain of sand, can now organize themselves inside the human body. We will become better able to manipulate our own genes and those of our children. And of course, global governance is much needed.
And we're taking things that are, genetically modified organisms, and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein.
People particularly are saying, they're anti-government, they're anti-regulation.
He's choking me! He's choking me! What the fuck? Come on. Oh! Get off of me! Get off!
Let go of his vest. Let go of his
He's
vest.
fucking choking me! He's choking me! What the fuck?
Let go
Get
of
the
his vest.
fuck off me! Get the
Don't
fuck!
touch him. Stop.
Fuck you, bitch! Get the fuck off me! What are you doing?
You just kicked
You're
him.
fucking choking me, dude! What the fuck? You're fucked in the head! You're fucked! What the fuck are you doing to me?
Well,
What
yeah,
have
right
I
now.
done? What have I done?
You just
Tell me
kicked
what
me.
the fuck I've done! What have I done wrong?
You just kicked
No.
him in the chest.
Yeah, but you're choking her. As a man on a girl, and you choked her. For what? For a mask? For not having a mask? Look how pathetic you are. She doesn't have a mask. Are you serious? Are you serious? Just for not having a mask?
Scientist and the godfather of the Great Reset, Klaus Schwab, who writes in his July 2020 book, a very recent book, COVID-19, The Great Reset, he calls it, he writes, that COVID is, quote, one of the least deadly pandemics the world has experienced over the last 2,000 years. Klaus Schwab, who's getting ready to hijack the whole world and give us a whole new world, very soon, on the basis that COVID was the, the thing, the opportunity. He says one of the least deadly pandemics the world has experienced in 2,000 years. It can't get crazier. It cannot get any crazier than this.
Ooh.
Oh, fuck. What the fuck? They didn't do anything. Fuck you, cunts.
Don't worry, brother. We're with you.
What the fuck what did he do? What did he do? I'm back.
You know, we'll have to prepare for the next one. That, you know, I'd say is will get attention this time.
He says many of us are pondering when things will return to normal. The short response is never. You got that? This is scary. This is bizarre.
Today is the beginning of a global mobilization effort to rally all forces behind this great reset initiative.
It was never designed to restrain the people. It was designed to restrain the government. Look. He ain't even do nothing. He ain't even do nothing. Look. He ain't even do nothing.
Yeah, I didn't think anyone would like that. But we surely need some changes to go forward as a whole of humanity and to prosper. So why don't we do the real reset that we truly need?
SpaceX plans on average of 3 Starship launches a day, with a goal of transporting 1 million passengers to Mars by 2050.
Science declared war on cold fusion. Was the promise of cold fusion too good to be true, or was it trampled on by closed-minded, greedy power brokers whose special interests outweighed the public good?
The water fuel cell. In 1985, Stanley Meyer created a technical design of a perpetual motion machine he called the water fuel cell. He claimed that an automobile retrofitted with the device could use water as fuel instead of gasoline. Starlight. This material was invented over 30 years ago by former hairdresser named Maurice Ward. He claimed that the material can withstand and insulate from extreme heat. He never revealed the exact components of the material, but he stated that it contains a complex polymer of 21 ingredients that can come as a liquid, paste, or solid molded into any form. Chronovisor. In the 1960s, Father Pellegrino Maria Ernetti, an Italian priest, claimed to have invented a time machine of what he called chronovisor, which allowed him to see in the future and past. He described that the device looked a bit like a television. However, instead of receiving broadcasts from local transmission stations, the chronovisor could tune into the past to allow the viewer to see and hear events that had occurred years or even centuries earlier. He claimed that the machine worked by detecting all the sights and sounds that humanity had made that still floated through space.
The first civilian lunar mission, Dear Moon. This mission will be spearheaded by Japanese entrepreneur Yusaku Maezawa.
In China, oxygen, medical supplies, and hospital staff have
One of the 5 vaccines and research.
Stage 1, you create a problem. It could be a manufactured virus. You want a reaction, and you want them to either say, do something, or you want them to accept what the authorities suggest must be done.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Corbett Report. I'm your host, James Corbett of CorbettReport.com, coming to you, as always, from the sunny climes of Western Japan.
1984 would never happen in 2021. Police aren't going to come to people's doors and investigate them for thought crime.
You are so powerful, we all are. And if we can find some way of coming together, putting down all our differences and just coming together and getting some sort of a focus on the way out, I think we can achieve great things. But anyway, folks, take care until we speak next in Lakesh.
When you're a journalist and you're out there, you have to get used to being attacked.
Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Matt coming to you once again from the offices of the Remnant newspaper.
I guess it's summer in Mexico. I guess it's that global warming. Greta.
How dare you!
Anyway, it is nice and cool. I can go for my runs, and I'm sure we got some nice warm tacos waiting at home, and then I'll give everyone car.
This whole global warming thing just isn't working out, is it, Lucy?
Good evening, everyone. Mike Palmer from Know Your Rights Group and Success Coaching International with another very important live video update.
You have to ask the question, is there a greater agenda that relates to something that none of us quite understand yet? We don't know. And we may not find out because the reality of the situation is we're not getting anything honest from government. All we're getting is more fear, more hysteria, more worry, more panic spread over and over and over again to the people.
Hi there, everyone. It's Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Spiro with ActivistPost.com.
Hey, everybody. Josh Searson, World Alternative Media.
Good afternoon. It's Friday, the 2nd of July, 2021, just after 1 o'clock. Welcome to UK Column News. I'm your host, Mike Robinson. Joining me in the studio today, Patrick Henningsen from 21st Century Wire. Welcome to the program, Patrick.
Great to be with you, Mike.
Welcome to the Daily Wrap-Up, a concise show dedicated to bringing you the most relevant, independent news as we see it from the last 24 hours.
So thank you for being here today and continuing to question, because that's all we could do right now is continuing to question what we're seeing and continue to do our own research and continuing to try to help others do the same. That's all we can do, guys. Well, I mean, in this context, obviously, as I tell people all the time, this is not all that I do, despite what you want. This is all that you see for the most of you. Every day I go out and do things to try to change things around me, whether in my current sphere or the town I'm in or even larger. The point is we should be doing all we can in every possible way to inform others around us and to better the world, leave it better than we found it, right? I mean, that's the bottom line here. I love you all, as always. Question everything. Come to your own conclusions.
That the current education system is merely an assembly line where children are fed with useless information.
Largely, there's no education in the world. There are ancillary units supplying cogs to the main machine. Human beings are like fuel for a larger machine that we have created. You call it the economic engine.
In fact, I think a lot of things people learn, probably there's no point in learning them, because they never use them in the future. Because a lot of kids just in school kind of puzzled as to why they're there. Like,
being better than somebody, if it's a pleasure for you, you enjoy other people's failures. I call that sickness. This is not success. Earning a living should be the most basic thing. With a millionth of your brain, you can handle it. But we have raised earning a living to the heavens today, unfortunately. Entire system is about how to earn a living, how to earn a living. This is a way of completely destroying human intelligence.
if the goal is to start a company, I would say no point in finishing college. So I think that's how it should be, and it shouldn't be that you've got like these grades where people move in lockstep. And so everyone goes through, goes like normally, we'll go through English, math, science and so forth from like 5th grade to 6th grade to 7th grade, like it's an assembly line. But people are not objects on an assembly line. That's a ridiculous notion.
I'm saying We are bringing up children with this fear. If you don't pass, you know what will happen to you? Continuously fear-based education. That if you don't get this many marks, you're finished. 18,000 children in 2015 have committed suicide in our country. When our children commit suicide, we must know we are doing something fundamentally wrong.
During the 19th century, there were many accounts of unnaturally large skeletal remains discovered in the ancient burial mounds scattered across North America. Today, not a single news media has ever mentioned a thing about ancient giants or past discoveries. If a giant skeleton is discovered somewhere, it would most certainly be classified and hidden from the public. It wasn't like that in the 19th and early 20th century, though. Almost every year, there were at least a few newspaper headlines stating the discovery of ancient giant skeletons. It seemed to be quite normal to find bones of giants in America when the first settlers dug ancient mounds to prepare for roads, farms, and buildings.
Although the story broke in 2012 with a constant flow of intrigued researchers desperate to figure out what it is, some have noticed that there seems to be a trail behind the rectangular building shape, like it's been dragged. If it's a government facility, they can request Google to blur out things like this. It's thus probably a research facility or excavation site. The question is, then, why the secrecy? All the research and science there is secretive, with headlines being released to us when they see fit, if at all. Google Earth photographs have revealed two large openings at the surface that some say lead to underground tunnels and subglacial rivers flowing in an environment supporting temperatures of 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. The verdict is still out whether this subglacial aquifer system was formed naturally or whether a human footprint inside these expansive inner chambers and underground caverns reveal a vast comprehensive network of tunnels, bases, possible cities, or even extraterrestrial UFO bases. Russian UFO researcher Valentin Degtyarev found in 2015 yet another strange image on the February 2012 Google Earth that appears to be 4 tanks covered in snow, lined up facing what could be a crashed 204-foot wide and 40-foot tall UFO. Nearly every day there are unusual breakthrough stories emanating from Antarctica. There are examples after examples, too numerous to mention, photo after photo depicting some weird anomaly. The last thing to ponder is the most recent high strangeness emanating from Antarctica. This time, not a story. It's a weird particle emanating from underneath the ice in Antarctica that's literally rewriting physics. Physicists have detected something so mysterious coming from Antarctica's frozen ground, some sort of cosmic ray, a light energy particle that's blasted its way through space into the Earth. The high strangeness is that the collection of particles, commonly known as Standard Model, SM, of particle physics, do not have anything like this property. Though some low-energy neutrinos travel miles without rocks being affected, but high-energy neutrinos, as well as high-energy particles, which have large cross-sections, in other words, they will always crash into something soon after entering Earth's atmosphere, will never make it out of our planet to the other side. Hence, the mystery of these particles emanating from Antarctica continues. Headlines are stating these particles will rewrite what we think about physics.
There was a high-profile group headed by Dr. Vannevar Bush, who headed up the Manhattan Project, to look into how these things were operating. And by the mid to late 50s, we had figured out the energy and propulsion systems behind so-called anti-gravity, extracting energy from the fabric of space so you don't have a fuel to carry. And that once they realized what this was and that it would be a threat to the big corporate kleptocracy that runs the world, big oil, fossil fuels, centralized utilities, centralized economies, that they put the lid on this and took it out of the supervision even of the US President and most members of Congress and the British Prime Minister and et cetera and so on. Most high officials in the Pentagon know very little about this subject because I have been the person to brief them. And the ones who do know are part of this, I have conspiracy of silence, for lack of a better word, to cooperate to keep this stuff very secret. The secrecy isn't because people are afraid that they're going to find out that there's life in the universe. It's because if it's confirmed that these UFOs are real, and they are, with it will become an immediate question by the scientific community, well, how are they operating? And when that gets asked, we have people who can answer it. And when that gets answered, it's the end of big oil, it's the end of coal, it's the end of centralized electric utilities, and it's the biggest change in the global macroeconomic order since the Industrial Revolution of the mid-1800s. That's what we're dealing with. The secrecy is clearly related to that, nothing else. It's all about power and geopolitical power and centralized power. A lot of people don't realize there's about 250 integrated corporations and individuals in the world that control virtually all of the world economy. And they're all interrelated. They're vertically and horizontally integrated. And their interests in this are profound. I remember Lawrence Rockefeller when I was out at his ranch, and of course he had hosted President Clinton and his wife Hillary Clinton for a couple of years during their vacations in August during his presidency. And they were out there actually because we were doing briefings. I was putting together big briefing documents, and Lawrence Rockefeller was sort of a mediator, providing information to them. And you know, I was at his ranch out in the Tetons once, and he turned to me, he said, "Dr. Greer, you know, no aspect of life on Earth will be untouched by this information coming out. So vast and so profound are the implications." I said, "I know, Mr. Rockefeller, that's why it's been kept secret. But if you wanted to look at one case, for example, that would be dispositive, look at what the third highest ranking member of the FAA, John Callahan, brought to us. This man, during the Reagan years, was in charge of accidents and investigations for the FAA in the United States, the Federal Aviation Administration. He was called into a case, which is the Japan Airlines case over Alaska, where an extraterrestrial vehicle the size of a huge ship was being tracked on military radar, civilian radar, and onboard a 747's onboard radar for a prolonged period of time. This was given back to him. He did an analysis of the data. He determined that it was a real structured object moving at enormous and unusual velocities. In fact, it would be one point in the sky and then instantly would be in another place 40, 50 miles away. And this thing was the size of, he said, of a destroyer, a battleship. Big, huge. It wasn't like 30 feet around. It was hundreds of feet. And this was seen by the pilot. We have the pilot's report. We have the original radar tapes and the digital reports, this thick of a report. He was called in to do a briefing for Ronald Reagan's science advisor, people from the CIA and FBI. At the end of that meeting, they turned to him and they said, "You were not at this meeting, this event didn't happen, and we're confiscating all this stuff." What they didn't know is that they confiscated duplicates. He kept the originals, and when he retired, he gave them to us. This man's name is John Callahan. We have his name, address, a phone number. We have all this evidence. That's one case. So, I mean, and it's dispositive. And the question is, if you have one case like that, it proves it. But we have hundreds of cases like that. So I would say to people, look at the evidence. The evidence is there. Now, the big question is, why doesn't the masses of people know about it? The only institution that is more corrupt than what I'm describing as this rogue transnational kleptocracy is the major media.
Even though I love you, I will And I honestly mean this. I think we owe a great debt of gratitude to science. Science has, in many ways, helped ease the suffering of this pandemic, which was more than likely caused by science. So, and that's kind of.
Hold on one second.
No. Now, listen.
It's coffee. I wouldn't do that to you. I wouldn't do that to you. What do you mean by that? Do you mean like there was a chance that this was created in a lab? There's an investigation.
A chance?
Well, but
oh my
if there was
God.
evidence, I'd love to hear it.
There's
I just don't know.
a novel respiratory coronavirus overtaking Wuhan, China. What do we do? Oh, you know who we could ask? The Wuhan novel respiratory coronavirus lab. The disease is the same name as the lab. That's just a little too weird, don't you think? And then they ask the scientists, they're like, how did this, so wait a minute, you work at the Wuhan respiratory coronavirus lab. How did this happen? And they're like, a pangolin kissed a turtle. And you're like, no, the name of your lab, if you look at the name, let me see your business card. Show me your business card. Oh, I work at the coronavirus lab in Wuhan. Oh, because there's a coronavirus loose in Wuhan. How did that happen? Maybe a bat flew into the cloaca of a turkey and then it sneezed into my chili and now we all have coronavirus. Like, come on.
This is the real life. This isn't fantasy. Caught in a lockdown, no escape from the quarantine. Time really flies if you just keep yourself busy. 3 weeks at home, boy, you could write your own symphony. Or you could play the drum, learn to sew, watch your favorite TV show, stare outside the window to stop the spread of COVID-19.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. We have already begun working on various projects. They include research in the Antarctica, the Adam's Grave, a UFO phone application, the 5G, and of course the CubeSat moon exploration, just to name a few. We will be posting the campaign links to these projects on Indiegogo or on Kickstarter as they become available. Ultimately, we want to establish a free and open nation based on self-government of its own people. You can already register your interest in becoming a citizen of this new nation, which will also enable you to participate in a special forum where we can discuss the taxes, the laws, the governing, the security, and any other aspect of this new country. If you have any suggestions or ideas, please do let us know. We appreciate all your support. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and spread the news on social media. You will find all the necessary links down below. So, till next time, my friends, goodbye. Keep an eye out for our new weekly video series. We will bring you the latest news on various topics every Friday.